Get ready to feel
the power.
That's Colin Crandall, myself, Adam Roorda. I'm the Lith Token blockchain architect and also the MMA Power Hour host. And I'm bringing up Lith Token because Lith Token does sponsor all these amazing episodes. Just head on over to lithtoken.io and give it a look. Figure out what it's all about. It's a great cryptocurrency that I'm, like I said, the blockchain architect too. And Colin over here is always bringing great interviews to everybody. So Colin, stoked for this interview we have tonight.
Thank you. You know, I am the MMA chain architect, as you might say, as far as it doesn't measure up to a blockchain architect, but I guess you could say I'm the blockchain of MMA interviewers architect, and I'm trying to architect a few good interviews.
That's not how blockchains work.
Not really, but as far as MMA people, well, a lot of them know. I'm not trying to say anyone's dumb, but I'm dumb when it comes to that stuff. So for those of you that don't know, I could be the blockchain interview architect, and for those that you do know, then let it slide. But we're here to entertain you, and we're here to talk MMA and to do some really good interviews and say silly, shitty, stupid stuff. Not shitty, silly stuff.
Colin says the weirdest shit.
I do.
You know what? That's why I'm here every week.
I appreciate that. We keep them coming. A lot of people appreciate that, and then we bring the good information and good picks and all kinds of good stuff. So we do have a good guest here. Possibly someone else may jump in as well, but we do have one good guest here. This is our 5th anniversary show. Funny enough, we advertised the show, and I just saw a Facebook reminder, February 26th of 17, we advertised that we were going to start the MMA Power Hour on March 15th of 2017. We actually jumped in a week before that and did me and Adam with just me on camera, kind of introducing the MMA Power Hour show. But the first official episode with guests was actually the 15th or the 16th, one of the two, of March in 2017. So next week will be the official 5-year anniversary show from when we first had a guest on. But this week is the official
5 years of doing this.
Crazy, man. Oh man, so many shows. And for those of you who know us, you know we've hardly missed a show in 5 years. For those of us that don't know or that newer here, welcome. We literally would miss as few as 3 shows in some of these past 5 years, or as many as maybe 6 or 7 shows in a whole year, and that's about it. So we have been the two of the most consistent guys in the MMA podcast world. With
not two of the most, we are the single most consistent show out there. We've had some off weeks very intentionally. We have seasons that go about 25 episodes each season. That's what we call it.
Yep.
And we're taking 1 to 3 weeks depending on what we need, but we try to keep it right at a year for 2 seasons.
Yeah, and so if there's 50 weeks in a year, we've done anywhere from 42 to 47 shows in a year, depending on what year in the last few years. So we've done a truckload of shows, and we're so happy to be continuing here. And you know, we've got more and more people. We've had bigger and bigger stars as the years have gone by. We've interviewed probably at least half of the UFC Hall of Fame, and we've interviewed some active champions, a heck of a lot of active contenders. We are credentialed. We are a credentialed media source with the 4 biggest organizations out there, and that would be the UFC, One Championship, PFL, and Bellator. And is that our first guest trying to call us, Adam? Or?
He's not calling us. He's just shooting a message over.
Okay, sweet. And so we're credentialed by all 4 organizations, and we've been to shows mostly on the West Coast, but one on the East Coast. We've been to shows covering these live events, and a ton of interviews. I pride myself on being one of the better interviewers that has some of the better questions and more questions than most at post-fight press conferences when I show up. One thing I can say though is that we are starting to blow up. We are actively looking for new sponsors. We do have Lift Token that Adam's a blockchain architect for. We're looking for and open to some outside sponsors, and we're not going to be for long because we're really selective. We're not going to deal with any company that we don't have the same sort of a good feeling about as far as their goals and their directions. We're not both super political, but we also, you know, have a bullshit meter. We don't want to deal with anyone that's full of shit. You know, we may be once in a blue moon, but not often. And so I guess you could say we deal with someone who is once in a blue moon, but we want people with integrity, and we're ready to make you money if you want to jump on, or if anyone that has a product or anything. As of right now, we're willing to be super reasonable as far as cost. So if you don't have thousands of dollars and barely hundreds of dollars, you still could be able to be involved as a sponsor in our show. So hit me up or hit Adam up, and you know, just hit us up in MMA Power Hour. We're all over social media, and thousands of people following us, and we really appreciate it. But we are, what, a couple minutes, so I can take a look. I'm getting my watch repaired.
Yeah,
so
we're right about 3 minutes away.
Yeah, maybe 4, you know. But Dr. Adam Roorda and I have been the A-team. We are amazing as far as coming up with upset picks and having winning picks on UFC fights. We've got a really good record. We also bring in some humor to it. We're humble. Neither of us are big ego guys full of ourselves. We don't go around you know, trying to
You know what, speaking of that, last week I missed 1 fight.
That was it, pretty much. Yeah,
I got 1 fight wrong. Unfortunately, it was the main event. But
right. Yeah, no, me too. I think I didn't get that one wrong, but I did get a 1 or 2 out of like 12 wrong. So yeah, I had a really good week, and so we've been killing it. You know, you can look at me as the MMA professor, and I would be like the Space Ghost character if you remember that show, and my buddy Adam here would be the Atomic Ant or the Zorak character. We're going to try to bring in some funny graphics and stuff like that at some point too.
Ooh, I don't know what you just did there. That popped to my ear.
Sorry
real
about
bad.
that. Well, you were telling me your ears were kind of stuffed up anyway, so that
Nope.
might have helped. Sorry about that. But anyway, we're all good, and we're looking forward to a great guest and a great show. So tell a friend. If you want to be interactive, feel free to chime in. We'll answer your questions as we can. However, if you do want to ask a question of the guest, you would have to leave a small tip for us, and then we would definitely answer or get your question asked live of the guest. We only have one guest this week with a possibility of a second one quick. Next week, we're going to be looking at 3 really good guests and people I know will have questions for them, and we will announce them soon. In fact, you know what? I can do it now. I'll let you know now. We're looking at top 5 contender. I think he's number 2 contender in the welterweight division. Gilbert Burns from the UFC. We got Gilbert coming on. Dorino he's going to be on 3 weeks before his huge fight against number 10, the undefeated Khamzat Chimaev. So we'll have Gilbert Burns here. We're going to have the legendary Hall of Famer in that same welterweight division and commentator Pat Miletich. Really sharp guy and a good, really intelligent.
Only makes sense to have him come in here. First guest, first show, 5 years later.
That's right. In fact, you are exactly right, Adam. He was a guest on that March 15th or 16th, 2017 show, the very first episode with guests. So this would be 5 years later. We will have had Pat on, and I think we did have him on 2 other times during those years. So always interested to see what he says.
In that first year, I think we had him on three times.
I think we may have
he's
good.
one of I'd say about half a dozen guests that have been on multiple times a year.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. And for those of you that are supporting, Joe Rogan, he's another like-minded guy, tells it like it is, and doesn't believe in a lot of bullshit and this BS woke culture. So Pat Miletich will be straight. He just wants to tell the truth from his heart, having been around for 50 some odd years and being a former fighting champion.
So I'm stoked for that coming in next week.
Me too, absolutely. And we'll have a third guest we'll announce in the next couple of days. So definitely get ready if you want to interact. Just throw us a small tip if you want us to ask that fighter a question during the show. We appreciate your support. Anyone want to support anyway, hit us up and we can accommodate you if you want to throw the show some money for support, because we definitely could use it, and we appreciate your help. Anyway, I think we are ready whenever you are to get that.
Absolutely.
First guest going.
Let's go ahead and get that Skype dance going.
Let's do it.
Skype dance.
Hey, Jared, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Nothing, all good, man. We're looking forward to talking to you here. Looks like we had video and then it went away. So if you could hit that video camera icon again, the one that has a line through it, beautiful. As long as you see yourself, you're good to go, because we'll have you on camera. We'll be doing a split screen, alternating screen. We'll make sure you can watch the show afterward. But we are live. Let me give you a proper introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to have this next guest on our show for the first time. We've had numerous champions from his organization, one championship, as well as from UFC, PFL, Bellator. We're credentialed with all of them. Always been excited about watching this man fight. He is a one championship flyweight contender, Mr. Jared Brooks. Welcome to the show, Jared.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you having me on.
My pleasure.
I heard a lot about it.
Thank you, man. Well, I appreciate it a lot. We've been known for doing killer interviews and respecting you guys a lot. Both myself and my producer have a fighting background, a much lower level than you. My producer wrestled in high school and junior high in Iowa, and I was training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, purple belt, working on brown in that, and I've trained in martial arts for about 25 to 30 years. So a lot of respect for what you guys do, and at some level we have an idea of the grind, so I think that allows us to kind of relate to you more than just a guy sitting on the couch for 30 years eating pizza and hamburgers and hot dogs.
Yes, sir.
So let me ask you, in the flyweight division, in one championship, that would be a 135 limit. I believe there is no 125 limit division in one, is there?
Like as far as to just at 125?
Yeah, because I know that in the UFC, the flyweight is a 125 maximum. But I believe in one championship, you can be up to 135 on fight day. Am I right?
Yes, in the flyweight division.
Yes.
Yes, for sure.
So they're essentially, and that's the lowest weight division in one. There is no weight division that allows a maximum 125, is there?
No.
Okay. Now, when you competed at the UFC, you were competing at a maximum 125 weight, or am I wrong?
Yeah, max 120.
Okay, so you came over right around actually a similar time as Demetrius Johnson, and both of you had been at 125, and all of a sudden you're at 135. Now, Demetrius, we know, is a legend. He's the GOAT in many people's mind. He was a little bit older by the time he went over to one. He was always kind of a average size flyweight, but at bantamweight he was kind of smaller. He has had a couple of tough fights. That doesn't mean anything. He could come back and win it all. But what was your feeling about you going from fighting at 125 max to fighting in a division that allows up to 135? Had you started to get a little bit bigger with age, and was that kind of a normal fit? Had 125 been a really hard cut? Or if one...
Oh no, brother. Actually, I fight at 125. I thought you were saying like the division that I fight in is actually 125. The max is 125.
Oh really? I didn't realize that one had a 125 max division.
Yeah, that's the division that I'm fighting in right now. I didn't understand your question. Sorry.
No problem at all. So let me ask you this, because I know that when Mighty Mouse went over there and fought, did they not have a 125 then? Because I think over at one championship, he's been fighting at 135 max the whole time, hasn't he?
Yeah, so the thing is, these guys are actually fighting at 135 because there's hydrated weigh-ins.
So that means that because of where they have weighed or where they feel they're going to be, they're not even going to bother with trying to make 125.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The people that can do it really, really right, those guys can actually, cut the weight and be hydrated and still, gain 15 pounds after. I mean, yeah, there's some guys that are doing it right in that organization, but if you're overweight or you're not hydrated while you're on weight on the day before, then you got to weigh in the next day. And if you don't make that, then I guess that's just fight money out of your purse.
Interesting. So it seems like Mighty Mouse, who's closer to 40 than 30, must feel that his days of making 125, especially with the hydration rules, is just not going to happen. That must be what their camp felt, huh?
I wouldn't be surprised if Demetrius decided to cut down to 25. To be honest, if he can't win, these next few fights, but he's already taken these money fights, like Rootang and stuff like that. So hopefully we meet each other in the next, few years before he retires. That'd be a dream come true. Demetrius is definitely a superstar, and he's always been a superhero in my book.
Absolutely, he really is amazing, and it's a shame that they just couldn't really find the money or the energy to promote him in the UFC. He was so dominant and so amazing, but he didn't talk any trash. He didn't get bad blood created with anybody. And right, and I think back then maybe there weren't enough other guys at the really lighter weight classes that they could really build. And he was also cleaning house. He was beating everybody, and so it is what it is. But yeah, still huge respect to him. And now I'm looking at the graph here, and you're only 28 years old right now.
Yes, sir.
That's young, man. You're in a great position, and so. Do you think that you're going to be still good at 125 limit for the next couple of years? Because I know personally that usually somewhere between 28 and 30, a lot of guys add a little bit of weight naturally, because you kind of just get a little bit of that extra thickness in your bone density and everything like that. Have you noticed anything like that for you yet? Do you expect that? Are you kind of eyeing 135, or are you feeling still pretty good about 125 unless anything drastic happens with your body?
It's just depending on how much I'm really eating at the end of the day. If I eat a lot, if I'm eating over, 3,000, 4,000 calories a day, I can stay over 135, and then I can, lift and then build the muscle mass. I'm able to do that. But right now, I just feel like where the position that I'm in, I just need to rule in the weight class that I'm the best at. I know I'm the best at, and then go on to those other obstacles at 135. And I know that those guys are super tough. It's a completely different weight class, but they're all also similar. And I've been prepared for a long time to fight. All of these guys like Adriano Moraes. I've trained with Adriano before. I've even trained with Lineker. Lineker used me as a dummy pretty much for Ian McCall, but I was taking down Lineker, a crap ton.
Nice.
And nothing against John. John is a really, really great fighter as well.
Definitely.
Who wants to get punched in the face by that guy?
Nobody. Yeah.
But luckily I did.
Yep. Always good to avoid that. But so yeah, we had Adriano on the show here about a year ago. Really good guy. I don't know why. For some reason, I thought he could weigh up to 135, but you're saying no, he's the champ at 125 limit. Is that right?
No, he's the champion at 135. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If I win, against Pacquiao at 125, then I can go up to 135 and fight Adriano.
Okay, beautiful. So what is the name of the guy who's the current 125-pound champ?
Joshua Pacquiao.
And is that fight
from Philippines?
Philippines. And is that fight scheduled for you, or it's in talks?
Right now the fight isn't scheduled. I think they're going to give me one more opponent before that, which it isn't crazy, it isn't ludicrous or anything like that. But yeah, I'm just prepared for any obstacle that comes in front of me. I can call my shots all I want, but it isn't my decision to who I fight.
Right, absolutely. So your nickname is the Monkey God. How long have you had that nickname, and how did that come about?
I've had it since like 2012, and it was more of me and my characteristics and the way that I go about things. Sun Wuhan, he's the Monkey King, Monkey God, and Hanuman, which is the monkey god from the Hinduistic religion. But they were all based off of Goku and all these cool superheroes. And my manager, he would call me Spider Monkey. So I
Nice.
just pretty much built upon that name, and it's really manifested really well with me.
Makes sense. So that was off of the Dragon Ball TV show, huh?
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, Goku. He's
Yep.
pretty much based off of the character Sun Wuhan.
I'll tell you something funny. I remember back when that was on in the early 2000s, I remember Pride fighting was still on. And
Yeah.
there was a fighter that came out, Kazuyuki Fujita, which sounded like Vegeta from that show, right?
Yeah.
And I
Vegeta,
remember, I used to always have guys joking about that, say, I don't know, Vegeta better have some of those Vegeta powers, to come and win. But then he did. He beat Mark Kerr. And it was
blow into that 500,000 XP.
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, I'll tell you a funny thing, man. I'm an older guy. I'll say I'm over 40, so I've been a fan and training for a long time. I remember right about back then, I was babysitting some kids, and they were like 6 and 8, really athletic little dudes, and their parents were real chill. So just for like shits and giggles, I started showing them some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a little bit of wrestling, and some Muay Thai. And they loved it. It was awesome. They were constantly going at it. And I was always better in the Jiu-Jitsu and the striking than the wrestling. So the wrestling, like my wrestling wasn't that great, so they couldn't do shit. Whenever they tried to wrestle, they would get easily sprawled on, and I'd be like scratching my head saying, what? Finally, I talked to a friend, and he said, you got to learn your wrestling a little bit better to be coaching someone. And I said, well, at least I'm not trying to put myself out as a coach. At least I'm just coaching these little dudes that I babysat. But I lost track of them. But literally, this was like in the early 2000s, before the sport got to be well known. So I've often thought, man, I wonder if either of these kids ever trained or anything, but they probably do remember their babysitter showing them MMA in like 2002. Yeah, right. You know, so it's definitely some fun memories. But yeah, man, I used to bring tapes too. I'd plug them in. We'd watch some Pride and some UFC tapes, but definitely fun times. So in your record of 18-2, one of them was a split decision, man, and that could have gone your way. You were in the UFC, and I think along with that split decision, you had 3 other fights where you were 2-1, right? Or did you have 4? Or did you have 5 total UFC fights? I think it was 4, right?
I had 4. I was 2-2. I beat Eric Shelton first. Second, I fought Davison Figueiredo, the UFC champ.
Right.
And I arguably won that fight.
Yes.
I think I won that fight.
That was really close.
After that, I ended up knocking myself out
in the fight with Shorty Torres. Yeah. What happened there?
You guys haven't seen that. It's pretty hilarious.
What happened in that fight?
I was fighting Shorty Torres, which he's no slouch either or anything like that. But I mean, with all due respect, I was beating the crap out of the dude.
Yeah.
And I had him on my shoulder, and I went to do like a bridal carry, and I went to do like a I don't know, like a Canadian destroyer move from like WWE.
Nice.
And I took him the wrong way with his hips, and it gave space in between his hips, and my head hit his hip and the octagon at the same time.
Oh wow. Yep.
And it knocked me out, and then I rolled over, and then I was still knocked down right when I came to. He just blasted me like 2 or 3 times.
Oh man.
There's nothing I could do.
Yeah.
It was the worst thing waking up and Dan Murgliata is standing over you and you just look like a straight like midget compared to Dan Murgliata.
Right, I know, he's a monster. And there you were like 24 years old when that happened or something like that. And
yeah, man, I've done a lot of growing since then. And I won my last UFC fight after that, and then unfortunately we got the boot when Demetrius left for one. I fought for Ryzen a couple of times, and I fought for a local promotion once, and then I just got into one.
Yeah.
So the cards all fell on the table at the right time, thank God.
Yeah, because it's interesting. Both you and Shorty Torres were looking good in the UFC, and then you were both gone. And it's almost like I'm sitting there going, what the fuck? I mean, you were 2 seriously legit guys. How the hell are you both gone? I think he went to Bellator or something like that. But that's weird. So that's what I was going to ask you. I guess did they say something like it was almost like a football trade where they said, hey, Jared, along with the Mighty Mouse, we're trading you to. I mean, was it something like that, or what was that about?
Oh man, there's still. I know a lot of flyweights that got cut, and I've trained with a lot of flyweights that got cut from the UFC, and it's a rough season. Trying to get into a major promotion. It's really tough. You got it. They're making people fight their way back. I mean, people have been spoon-fed into getting back into the UFC for sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of people they're waiting for people to pretty much bring the brightness back to what they had, and if they don't, they don't.
Yeah. You know what I remember? I think they also cut Dustin Ortiz right at that time as well, and he was looking really good. And now I think it's coming back to me why they did this. Once they traded Mighty Mouse, I think they were about ready to dump the whole division. Remember? They were saying, in fact, they were going to dump 125 flyweight.
They had to water it down, man. In my opinion, they had to water it down temporarily. Right now, and where the flyweight division stands, I think that it's a little bit better than what it was like a year and a half ago. But a lot of those guys aren't going to be making weight in the next year and a half. They're going to be fighting 35. So what's the point of keeping your flyweight division when you can't That's the most important thing about why I like one is because they have the hydrated weigh-ins to where you know that you're at 125 and you know that this person isn't going to have any struggles in the future making 125. So you can have a solidified champion, and then if he wants to move up, then he's going to have to grow to move up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which is healthy. I mean,
Without a doubt, much safer.
you know,
isn't
you got Cody Garbrandt going down to 135 or 125,
Yeah,
and
that was.
you see how that went. I mean, it's not his capabilities as a fighter. I mean, he lost 10 pounds of muscle mass, which
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
some might be in his brain. Who knows?
Yeah, without a doubt, it makes it much harder to take a shot. And yeah, like they probably would not have let Cody fight at 125 and won, right?
No, not if he wasn't hydrated, and he definitely wasn't hydrated in those weigh-ins. I mean, he looked okay in the weigh-ins, but I only seen the ceremonials. So, you got people like Davison Figueiredo weighing 144 fight night. He fought me at 149 pounds fight night.
Wow, that's crazy.
And thinking about that, it's not that it's cheating or anything like that. He got away with it. He did it, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't blame the guy, but and it makes him slower too, which is pretty cool. When I'm going against these new flyweights, they're just hydrated and they're just, you know, in shape and they're ready to go. So
Yep.
they don't really get tired at all. But you know, when people do hard weight cuts, they get tired quick. And you know, I'm glad that I'm fighting in a weight class to where, you know, I'm fighting in UFC. I weighed 123 fight night.
Wow. So you were really small, and you were and guys there were like 140 something. Yeah, I see your point. What do you think about the trilogy with Davison and Brandon Moreno? I thought in the first fight, I think was a draw, and I thought Moreno won that. The second fight, Moreno dominated, and then Davidson Figueiredo went over to Fight Ready with Henry Cejudo, and Henry Cejudo made the statement that Davidson Figueiredo is the best Davidson Figueiredo ever. He's going to win this rematch. I don't know what it is about Henry Cejudo. I mean, I guess he's a great fighter, but it also seems like luck is on his side. When he says something, by some miracle, it always happens. And so I don't think a lot of people believed it because of how badly Moreno beat him. But what was your thought going into that fight where Davidson had gone over to Fight Ready, was trying to shore up his holes in his wrestling? Did you think he was going to take it back from Moreno? Did you think not? What was your feeling about that third fight?
Yeah, I pay attention to a lot of people's social media, a lot of fighters' social media that, you know, I could potentially fight or that I want to fight. And I paid attention to both of their Instagrams, and I could see in the second fight that Davison was going to lose because it looked like he was just involved with his gym too much.
Yeah.
Looked like he was just trying to build his gym and build his athletes in his gym, and his head got too big for him to train enough, and he got exploited. And he understood that right before he was about to fight, that he didn't put in the work. So Davison didn't need Henry Cejudo necessarily. Davison just needed to put in the work, and he needed to be motivated.
Right.
And Henry Cejudo motivated him because Henry was the flyweight champion. So I mean, he could have helped him with his wrestling basics, stuff like that. You know, Eric, his coach, is actually like really good, like military base, weird training kind of stuff. So
right. Eric Albarracin, yeah, Captain Eric.
Yeah, he seems like a really nice guy too. I've talked to him a couple of times, but yeah, for what they do, they have something going on over there for sure. But I don't think that necessarily Davison needed Henry, and I think that Brandon took away from his fight with the second fight in taking down Davison and controlling him and getting him tired, or, you know, just coming in and submitting him. Or solidifying takedowns against Davison. That's the biggest key, in my opinion. And, you know, if he would have done that throughout the whole fight, you know, took him down and then coming up and striking him and piecing him up like he did in the first fight, he should have just mixed what he did in the first fight and the second fight into the third fight. Which
Right.
I do think that Davison won that fight, though. Everybody thinks that Moreno won, but Davison knocked him down twice.
Yeah.
I mean, hit him with more powerful shots.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Moreno was putting in the output, and those leg kicks were starting to really come on Brandon, though.
Yeah, and also Brandon's movement was kind of unusual. Like, it almost looked like he was really relaxed. He almost looked like, to an extent, kind of like an Anderson Silva out there, but just almost maybe too much. And I thought that was a close fight. And Brandon's a super cool dude. I interviewed both of them right after the fight. I was there in the press section. But did it seem like Brandon was maybe too relaxed and kind of like too at kind of being the matador in there, it looked like? Or what was your thought? And what was he doing with kind of the interesting movements and just kind of like holding his hands up, kind of like an Anderson Silva fight?
I think he went in to prove something, and he underestimated Davison for sure. He underestimated this portion of Davison.
Right.
I don't think he was ready for like the counter strikes, and he was a little bit relaxed, but sometimes that first 30 seconds you just got to go out and knock somebody out.
Yeah.
And then after that, see where the game plan takes you. But I can't really say too much more about the fight, because it's like, these are two guys I want to fight.
Yeah, without a doubt. No, for sure. I don't want to have you give away any secrets, but let me ask you a last question on that, and I really appreciate your insight. I know it's not your organization, but I appreciate your thoughts.
Oh, no, brother.
Thank you.
I enjoy your questions.
Cool. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it a lot. So, being that the first fight was a draw, they've actually had 3 fights now, but because the first was a draw and they both won another one, if they fight again, that would be the rubber match. If we see that again, what would be your thought? I think, first of all, I think it would be super cool if Brandon won that, because it would be like crazy back and forth with the other guy winning. It doesn't matter to me because they're both good dudes. But what would be your thought? Could Brandon make some adjustments in the rubber match, and what would they be? And then how do you think that fight would play out?
I think Brandon just needs to, first round you take him down, and second round you jab. You just hit a bunch of jabs on him because he's gonna be tired. After that first round, Davison just gasses. I don't know, especially with wrestling and the weight cut. I see it every fight with him, but he pulls a rabbit out of his hat a lot in fights. So Davison's unpredictable. You can't say too much about him, but
very true.
I think that it would be cool for Moreno to come in and get that dub for sure. He's a great kid, and he has a great personality, and he's the heart of Mexico right now. So
absolutely,
it'd be good. It'd be good for the UFC, and it'd be good for him for sure. But I like Davison Figueiredo. I think that he's a good champion as well. I think that he doesn't know how to talk. I think that's the issue with him and fans. But besides that, I think that Brandon Moreno is boring as well. I think that he plays the nice guy way too much, and he just uses his facial expressions and his hands.
Yeah, that's true. Now, if you were the promoter, you're looking at either making that fight next or giving one of 2 different guys a shot. There's a guy, Askarov, and then there's Kai Kara France that trains with Israel Adesanya.
I know Kai, yeah. I know both of them for sure. I would say Askarov first. Askarov has been killing shit.
Yeah.
So Kai Kara knocked out Cody Garbrandt. Don't get me wrong, but Kai Kara got beat by Brandon Royval.
Right. So he's probably wouldn't. So it'd be Askarov first and then Marino second. Your thought probably. Right?
I just couldn't dream getting beat by somebody like Kai Kara France or Brandon Royval. I don't know what it is. I couldn't think about a bad possibility in those fights. I don't know.
Right. Understood. So all right. So
Askarov though, maybe that dude is tough.
Yeah. And you know what's weird? There's a guy in another organization whose name is Askar.
Yeah, I know Askar too. Yeah, he's fought in Indiana before.
Where does he fight? He's not with one, is he? No, I think he's with like LFA or something, or
I think Askar is fighting for Saudi Arabian company or something.
something.
Like
Yeah, it really could be. But yeah, it's funny. His name is so close to Askarov. But yeah, there's a lot of those tough guys. So the title fight for you, it could be this next fight or the fight after. And again, what's that gentleman's name? The one championship flyweight champ.
That's Joshua Pasiao.
Joshua Pasiao. Okay, is he a young guy like yourself at around 28, or do you know how old he is?
I think he's 26, so he's been the champion since he was 21.
Oh, wow.
He got beat, and then he came back and got his title back a year and a half ago.
Interesting. Gotcha. So that would be...
And then knocked the dude out back. He knocked him out again after that.
Nice. Okay, so that would be a good fight. I'm sure you're confident in that fight and matching up with him. If you had your preference, would you want that one to be next, or would you like one more kind of a tune-up before that?
You know, I see it as this is the ride, and I have to enjoy the ride. So if I don't get a title shot right now after 2 fights, which, I mean, that's insane. That's pretty cool that they are even thinking about that. But, you know, if they give me another fight, I'm perfectly content with that. And it's not, yeah, I know anything can happen in the octagon, but I have got, you know, pure confidence and will and strength, and that's all that matters in this sport.
Absolutely, and you're in a great spot of being 28, and you're right, only 2 fights in the promotion. You can't necessarily demand a title shot, but whenever it comes, it comes. Where do you train? Which team do you train with, and how long have you been with them? And if were you with any other big gym before then, or what's been your history as far as where you train throughout your MMA career?
Yeah, I've been kind of like orphan.
Nice.
I've pretty much been to home. I started out in Warsaw with one of my main coaches, Dennis Minnix. He's like a Matt Hume kind of.
Nice.
He has a great coaching mentality.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I went to American Top Team in Coconut Creek, Florida, and trained there for about a year. And then after that, I started training with my best friend Justin Scoggins in South Carolina. And then after with Stephen Thompson and all of those guys as well. Then after that, I've been here for 5 years in Detroit with my coach James Lee, and we really just go down in the basement. We call it the dungeon, and we just, you know, ball out. That's it.
Nice. So
Justin Scoggins is living with my coach right now, so he's my main training partner. You have like Austin Bashi. He's going to be a kid that's going to be flashing on the scene in the next 2 years. Bet you on that.
Nice. And so you said Detroit?
Yeah, I live on the outskirts of Detroit right now.
I was raised in the outskirts of Detroit.
Where at?
I was born in the city many years ago off 6 Mile Road, and then I lived in Southfield off of 10 Mile, and then 12 Mile, and then Ann Arbor.
Nice. I live in Taylor right now.
Nice. Yeah, I know some people, because you know how it is. I don't know if you're not originally from Michigan, or are you?
I'm from Indiana originally.
Okay, nice. But you know how Midwest is loyal to their teams, right? And so even though I've been in California and LA for many years, still a Michigan fan of all the teams, and I love to support athletes out of Michigan. I know that in the UFC we got Jamal Hill, who's killing it at light heavyweight. He just put Johnny Walker to sleep. I've had him on the show like 4 times in the last 2 years. I know he's cool, huh? He's a hell of a fighter, huh?
Yeah, he's nice, chill, relaxed dude. I haven't got to train with him or be in the same like training areas as him, but he just seems like, you know, when I met him, he was just like, you know, nice and relaxed.
Yeah.
You know? Everything was chill about him.
Yeah, he is. He's super chill, super cerebral dude. He's an unusual guy in that he was from the streets, like in outside Chicago.
Oh yeah, he's from the streets for sure.
But he's like he's like focused on learning martial arts and fighting for so many years, and he's really a student of the game. So like I said this to him when I interviewed him, I think he was on the show 1 or 2 weeks ago. I said, you've got that kind of a contrast where you're like a totally real dude from the streets, but you're such a cerebral guy also, being a student of the game and just a true martial artist. So he's a cool dude. I know he's at Black Lion somewhere out there in Grand Rapids, right?
He's got Jamal. I would say like his standard boxing, horrible standard.
Is
boxing.
it? Okay.
But his hood boxing is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
You don't get. Sorry if I cuss.
That's okay.
I'm just saying his hood boxing is out of this world.
Yeah.
Him and Chaos Williams, I'm like, wow.
Oh yeah.
You guys are just smashing people.
Oh yeah, totally. And then you got Joaquin Buckley, at least was over there for a while. And I know that Chaos and Joaquin were training over at Murcielago, and I'm friends with a guy named Curran Jacobs. You might not have heard of him, but he was.
I know Curran. Yeah. Curran has a great story underneath him.
He does. He really does. Curran is an awesome dude. I've known Curran for about 4 years, and we've had him on the show a few times. Super cool dude, and I know he's like had a couple MMA fights now, and like he's acting and like that. He's been in a couple films with Randy Couture, but yeah, he's an awesome dude. And then also Cody Stamen. I interviewed Cody several times. He's out there at Michigan Top Team with Darren Cruikshank and those guys. You ever meet those guys over there?
So Cody actually moved back to Vegas.
Right, that's right. Yep. To be Couture.
I was training at Michigan Top Team for about a year and a half, just because of my striking coach, Kara Rowe. Mm-hmm. Kara is a 3-time WBO world champion. Nice. She's never been defeated. She's probably one of the best boxing coaches in the world. I mean, I think I got the best boxing coaches in the world in Detroit here. Nice. It's ridiculous. Nice.
And who's also out of Michigan? Claressa Shields, talking about boxing. So, I mean, she did have a loss, but I think she'll be back. But yeah, so definitely, man, it's good to know you're out there, man, because a lot of fighting spirit in Michigan, and it seems like you've had some great training and some great looks. Question for you, being out of American Top Team, did you expect the results in this past Saturday's fights between former friends, as the promotion said, now hated enemies, Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington? With your wrestling background, did you kind of see it going that way? I did, and I don't really have a wrestling background, but I just thought that the equalizer was the wrestling, and Cody being 3.5 years younger and having a lot less miles on him. Did that fight kind of play out just as you expected, or if anything, what was different?
Yeah, I would say from what I've seen, Colby, when I just got there, we started our careers at the same time. He started his in 2012, so I was there in 2013. It was his first year. He just came back from Oregon, and he was just a wrestler pretty much. But whenever I seen him going with Masvidal or Nick Lentz, all those guys that were good wrestlers still, he just dragged on them all across the mat.
Yeah.
And I seen it, and with Colby's hands getting better, and all of the tools coming in with that, I was like, yeah, Masvidal he doesn't really have a chance besides that flying knee.
Yeah, and because Masvidal was at 155 for so long, yeah, he got naturally a little bit thicker, but he's really not a big welterweight. Another thing I remember is that Masvidal brought in Bo Nickel, who I'm sure you've heard of, right?
Yeah, Bo from Penn State, yeah.
Nice, yeah. But I remember thinking to myself, is Bo Nickel going to necessarily be able to turn a 37.5-year-old Jorge Masvidal into another version of Bo Nickel? No. And I know that it probably helped, and I remember also Bo made an interesting statement in the UFC Embedded before the fight. He said something like, Colby Covington is technically not very strong. He's got the pace, but his wrestling skills are technically not really strong. Now, my thought was, Bo Nickel was probably thinking, compared to his own pure wrestling skills, Colby's wrestling is not very strong. But I think that statement may have been a little bit misleading, because wrestling for MMA, I think Cody's wrestling skills are very strong, don't you?
It's completely different than, your typical wrestling match. I consider myself a wrestler, but there's a lot of wrestlers out in the country that can beat me in a wrestling match. But as far as MMA wrestling, good luck. I don't think you're gonna find somebody that's gonna be able to take me down.
Absolutely.
Personally. But yeah, it's completely different. Bo will start to realize that the more he fights.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too, and also I think he was probably trying to support Jorge. But yeah, I remember that statement kind of, I'm thinking, is Bo trying to have people start thinking that Colby Covington can't wrestle? Because if he is, then that's, not really the reality. All respect to Bo Nickel. But
yeah,
lots of interesting matchups coming up, and I know your match you're waiting to sign, maybe a title fight, maybe the next fight after that. In one championship, I guess waiting to see where DJ goes is going to be interesting. Waiting to see where Marias goes. Christian Lee, I think, is coming back, trying to get in contention. You've got, and then here we go. Let's actually hype up a little bit of one championship here. You got an interesting fight, Tan Lee and Gary Tunnen. I won't keep you too much longer because I know we're probably already. I appreciate it. So Gary Tunnen and Tan Lee. This is an interesting matchup because Gary Tunnen's a unique dude, right? I had Gordon Ryan on the show a few months back, and Gary was like his teacher when he was younger and a good friend of his. And he believes a lot in Tunnen. Tunnen comes from jiu-jitsu. He's a unique dude. He's been beating guys who are anywhere from kind of good to maybe not bad. Is it a little bit of a jump to go and fight Tan Lee, or are a couple of his last guys pretty darn good? Where do you think that matchup is for Gary Tunnen? A big jump or not really? And then how do you see that fight playing out?
From what I've seen of Gary, I mean, he looks like he's a definitive martial artist now. It's kind of crazy. He's throwing kicks, doing Imanari rolls, knocking people down with his hands. I don't think his jaw's too full for sure. I think that he's ready for this fight, and good luck to him for sure.
Absolutely. And Tan Lee is a tough guy. He's a nice guy too. I've interviewed him.
Super tough guy. That guy is ridiculous.
Without a doubt.
But I can't count Gary Tunnen out on anything. I mean, I've seen that dude beat some really big jiu-jitsu names.
Without a doubt. Now, a question for you. A lot of people talk about the sweat factor. Like if Gary Tunnen could get on top of Tan Lee early on when they're dry, I think that would be a really dangerous thing for Tan Lee. But if it's the middle or later part of the fight and they're both really sweaty, isn't that going to make it a lot harder? Or can a guy like Gary Tunnen, just as such a high-level grappler that he is, somehow do something to compensate for the sweat and slipperiness, do you think?
I would say in those grappling situations, when you're both sweaty, it's usually the person that has the most grappling experience that wins that.
Okay.
In my opinion, I think that Gary would probably end up getting old boy's back in that situation. If Gary got on top and, it's third round, they're both, sweaty, I think that Lee is probably going to overcompensate on some kind of technique, and Gary's going to finish him.
Gotcha, and that should be an exciting fight. It was interesting what Gordon Ryan told me. I asked him, I said, because Gordon's talking about jumping into MMA. He was sick for several years, and he actually just retired for a year, and then looks like has got kind of a hold on what was causing his illness, and so it looks like he's kind of about ready to be back. But he said he's very, very close to jumping into to MMA with one. And I asked him if he would kind of like have like a similar plan of attack to Gary Tunnen, And he said, you know, with all respect to Gary, he thinks Gary's plan of attack is perfect. But he said because of the weight division and his style, he said he would do the opposite. He said what Gary's trying to do is create movement. And what Ryan said he would do is work to like snuff out movement, to reduce movement. He would work on trying to get guys against the fence and get them down and submit them. And does that make sense? I guess it kind of does, huh?
Well, I mean, he's more of your standard grappler. You know what I'm saying? Like Gary's like all heel hooks, like, you know, like the new school of grappling. While, you know, Ryan is chokes, like, you know, get on top of you, smother you, kind of deal. So two different grappling styles for sure.
That makes sense. And leg locks, man, you don't see so many leg locks in MMA. And I know it's because, I mean, as a purple belt, almost brown belt, I have some knowledge, not as good as higher belts. But obviously, you can put yourself in a bad position in MMA if you go for a leg lock and don't get it. But I've heard some black belts say that there are some leg locks you can kind of go for from a top position and still end up not in a bad position. And can you tell me anything about like what that would look like?
It's all about your scrambling ability at the end of the day, and being in a bad position and being able to get into a neutral position, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So you know, if I'm on top and I hit a half guard heel hook, and I know I'm not going to get it, it's about bailing at the right time and not staying there to where somebody else can, you know, take an advantage of another technique.
Makes sense. Also, a couple months ago, we had Marcus Buchecha Almeida, the Jiu-Jitsu world champion, on our show, and he just had, I think, his second MMA fight. Now it's looking like they're having some problems negotiating with Arjan Singh Buller, the heavyweight champion. We had him on the show as well. Do you think that if he's out, that they may bring Buchecha right up for a title shot? And if so, he looked pretty good. He's over at American Top Team. I think he probably didn't get there until after you left, but he's doing some great training with Steve Mocco. Do you think he could be ready for that? And what do you think of his overall skill and potential?
Hey, ridiculous. I mean, he has that straight, like, just heavyweight power that, you know, is athletic. He's athletic and he's heavy. That's scary.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to get hit by somebody that, you know, has the speed of a 170 pounder but can hit like Derek Lewis.
Exactly. I mean, to imagine him and Gordon Ryan in MMA for like a one championship title, that would be sick, wouldn't it?
That would be really, really cool because you got a predominant striker against a predominant grappler.
Exactly. I mean, Gordon might have to get some grappling, some striking in there. Let me ask you this. If your base is wrestling or if your base is grappling, which is going to be harder to learn and to be more skilled with, striking or the other grappling set? I guess the question may be somewhat obvious, but if you're a wrestler, is it going to be easier to get really good at jiu-jitsu or striking? And then if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, is it going to be easier to get really good at wrestling or striking?
I'd say if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, then you should, it's like Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu go like this together, I guess,
Okay.
like with a lot of gyms from what I see. I would say boxing and wrestling go together.
Nice. Okay.
And then I would put kickboxing in the category of throws.
Nice.
So like judo, sambo kind of deal.
Nice. So what do you think about these guys like Habib, these guys from Dagestan? These guys are killing it. And then you got guys from Kazakhstan, Chechnya. I mean, these guys all have trained really, really hard. They're not all winning, but obviously they're tough guys. I think we just recently saw Islam Makhachev come in there and beat a last-second replacement, Bobby Green. It was supposed to be Beneil Dariush. Dariush got hurt, but now Makhachev, it looks like he's going to get the winner of Justin Gaethje versus Charles Oliveira. If I could get some quick picks, Gaethje and Oliveira, who wins that? And the winner against Islam Makhachev, who wins that?
I got Oliveira by either armbar or arm triangle.
Over Gaethje.
Over Gaethje, yes.
And then Oliveira and Makhachev.
It's a tough.
That'd be a crazy fight, wouldn't it?
I would say, dude, that's really hard for me because I'm trying to picture how the fight would go.
It's so hard to know, isn't it?
And it's like, is Islam gonna take him down? But Islam has good kicks as well. That can keep him at bay to where a lot of people, a lot of wrestlers, a thing that people underestimate about like Khabib and stuff like that is he used to shoot really far away.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a secret that he was shooting for sure, but it was the fact that he was shooting so far away that it gave the fighter anxiety to where he backs up and then he ends up in the cage.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If that was a wrestling match, Khabib would never get a takedown that way.
Right.
I could defend it. But he's going to get up against the cage. So yeah, I would say Islam could probably take him down and control him. But after that third round, we'll really see where the breathing and the conditioning come in with Islam. Because I know the dude's ridiculous conditioning and cardio, but I think that Oliveira has been fighting his whole life, and every round is a blood round for sure.
Absolutely. We got to wrap it up in about 2 minutes. So let me ask you, give me a 30-second opinion on the April 9th matchup. Khamzat Chimaev, the Chechnya fighting out of Sweden, undefeated, going up against Gilbert Durinho Burns. We're going to have Gilbert Burns on next week, by the way, for everyone watching.
Nice.
Thanks.
I think I used to train with Gilbert. He used to beat my ass, kind of.
Yeah, he's big, twice your size.
Yeah, but this dude used to elbow me hard.
Oh man.
But I would have to say Khamzat.
Khamzat, yeah.
Because the guy, I don't think Colby can beat Khamzat, man.
He's a beast, isn't he?
Yeah, and we'll see how long Khamzat can make weight, though.
Yeah, it's true. At 185 at 6'2", he may be more suited, although he's not a really thick guy. 170's tough, I do agree, but he's a beast as long as he can make it. What is the best place on social media where people can support you? Do you have any t-shirts or any gear, any products? Let us know here. Any sponsors you want to put out there, feel free to shout it out.
Yeah, so right now, my apparel situation, I'm trying to, build my name a little bit higher to where, you go on the websites, then, you can purchase all that stuff. But right now, I just have my Instagram handle, which is _monkeygod, and that's also my Twitter handle. If you guys follow me on Facebook, I'll make sure to follow y'all back. Yeah, I just really appreciate all the fans and the people that have supported me over these last few years. It's been really tough the past 2 years. So, yeah, thank you all for really, dugging down there with me. So.
Absolutely. It's good. I'd like to see a fighter that appreciates the fans. Really cool, man. Yeah, I'll hit you up. I'll make sure to hit you up on Facebook and Instagram to make sure I can get you copy of the video. We do a 2-hour show. We're going to try to cut it up, but if not, I can at least make sure to get you the 2-hour show, actually an 1.5 hour show this time. And yeah, big respect to you, Jared Brooks. It's great chatting with you. Really appreciate your time. Let me know when you get your next fight signed. We'll be happy to have you back on it and talk all about that and promote the hell out of it.
You've been a pleasure, my man, and I really appreciate you and your show. You're definitely making waves in the MMA community, my friend.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, man. Michigan, the Michigan connection, brother. I know you're from Indiana, but still, you're in Michigan, man. So I'm going to be backing you and cheering for you.
Go Blue.
As
Go
is
Blue,
absolutely the Wolverines. Many years yelling "Go Blue." Really appreciate you, brother. Jared, the Monkey God Brooks. Have a great night, brother, and keep up the fantastic work.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Have a good night.
You too. And that was Jared Brooks, Dr. Adam Roorda, really good Midwestern dude like us from Indiana, but now trained out of Michigan, having trained at American Top Team and with all those dudes. He knows Jamal Hill. Cool. It's a small community when you're at the high level of MMA, like a guy like him, huh?
Right, 100%.
A lot of these guys know each other, and have trained with. He's been training with Gilbert Burns. That's 3 weight classes, actually 4 weight classes above him.
I think I've brought this up quite a few times. When it comes to training, usually the lightest weight classes will actually go ahead, and I know this from wrestling and even some of the kickboxing and taekwondo I used to take. Always go for the heavier guys.
Yeah,
always, because it's a way to slow down, but also work on your strength,
right,
and work on your core. So that's the purpose. But the heavier guys want to
work on his speed.
Work on his speed. That's exactly it. So the idea is really matching the opposite ends of the stick up.
Without a doubt. And a really good dude. And it is, like, I realize now that's what they were doing. Right about then, they decided that they were going to get rid of the flyweight weight class. So when DJ, Mighty Mouse, left, they just cut him loose. They cut Shorty Torres loose. They cut Dustin Ortiz loose. And people are like, what the fuck? These guys are killers.
Right.
These guys are straight up killers. And you're fucking cutting them?
Right.
But that's what it was. They didn't think the division was going to be there, and these were guys that were perfect for flyweight, and they were like, well, these guys are too small for bantamweight. We're going to be getting rid of the division. See you later. And hey, their losses, other organizations' gains, because this man, I think, will be fighting very soon.
Speaking of other people's losses and other people's gains, we've taken a gain here by hopping on over to social media. Every time we put our focus here on social media, on the Hannibal TV and our Facebook page, things seem to blow up.
Yeah,
so we're going to keep going this way for quite a while. Unless we have the right partner. Now, being that we have one of the largest archives, any of you distributors out there that are watching right now, hit me up, but I doubt we're going to be interested unless you come with a big marketing budget.
Right, because we've got like 1,000 hours of interview footage with some of the biggest names in the sport over the last 5 years.
Right.
So we do have a hell of a library, and we are open, but it can't be someone saying, I'll give you $1,200 for it or something like that.
No,
you know?
and none of this back end, if it works. You know what? This is one of the most interesting industries out there, in the fact that so many people come. Colin, how many times have we had people have conversations with us? Yeah, we want you on. We want to do this, and talking about paying us, and then
a lot. People, I don't know if people mean well or if people.
They do. I know they mean well, but there's a reality that a lot of people don't understand how to trigger the algorithms, and if we're not putting the money and time into it ourselves, Colin, then here's the deal. I'm not going to do some split on the back end when I do it better than somebody else.
Exactly.
So if you want to do it for me, come with the budget and the plan, and let's talk. Otherwise, let's talk something else. So anyways, Colin, on that note, also, everybody needs to go ahead and hit up our social media. When you get a chance, it's at MMA Power Hour. Our website is down currently. It'll be back up at some point in the near future, but we have it down intentionally. Just want to focus on the show here on our social media side of things, and
the Hannibal TV also.
Yeah, hit up the Hannibal TV on YouTube, and
Facebook,
if you're on
or Facebook,
if you're on Facebook or YouTube right now watching it from the Hannibal TV, make sure to hit up our pages as well. Like, comment, and share. Spread the love. Help us out. We love you guys. That's the best tip you can give us.
Absolutely, without a doubt. And while we're doing that, I think I'm going to bring it over from the Hannibal to my page, and then we'll bring it over to MMA Power Hour. But right now we have UFC fights this Saturday, and it looks like we're going to do maybe 10 minutes, Doc? Maybe 15?
About 10 minutes is
all right,
fine.
Can you make that graphic any bigger so I can see?
I mean, no, you've got to get better eyes, dude.
It's far though, man. It's all right.
It's not far.
Okay, all right. Carl Roberson okay, there we go. Thank you, sir. We have
sit back.
Yes, thank you.
Sit back.
I will, thank you. We have Matthew Semmelsberger against AJ Fletcher. I have not heard of AJ Fletcher. He's a tough guy. I'm gonna have to look into it, but Semmelsberger's a killer. 2.5
We've had him on,
favorite.
haven't we?
Yeah, we've had Matthew on a few times. I think Semmelsberger wins that fight hands down, although I haven't looked into AJ Fletcher that much, but Matt is a killer. The Jedi is legit as fuck. This is a cool fight. The main event, man, is tough, man. Finally, Magomed Ankalaev gets a really high-level fight against Maheta, former title challenger Thiago Santos. and that's going to be a good fight. Ankalaev, I think, is 3-1 favorite.
Let's touch base on that one in a little bit. But
Okay.
Let's start a little.
We got Miranda Maverick, who we've had on the show, who is a very, very tough girl. The fight that she lost against Macy Barber was a farce. Every cage side media person had Miranda beating Macy Barber, as did I. The next fight, however, though, Miranda did look not like herself against Elise Reed, I think it was. No, it was Blanchfield. Sorry, not Elise Reed, Blanchfield. And Aaron Blanchfield looked like a beast, so Macy really needs to win this one. Sabina Mazo did go up briefly to 135 and come back down. She's had kind of a tough time after looking good over there in King's MMA. This is an important fight for both girls, both coming off of a loss. I think that Miranda Maverick takes this fight, though, decisively. Yeah,
it's going to be. You think decisively? I think it's going to be a close one.
I think she's gonna be angry. She's gonna lay the beat down on Sabine Mazo.
I think she's going to take it, but I think it's going to be a close one.
Yeah, I think if it's up on its feet, the longer it's up on its feet, the closer it's going to be. The more Miranda can be on top on the ground, it'll be Miranda. Jillian Robertson, JJ Aldrich. That's an interesting fight. Both girls have done their share of winning, but also their share of losing. Jillian, for a brief minute, was like top 15, if maybe even top 10. I think at one point she may have had a 10 next to her name. JJ Aldrich, the highest she's ever been ranked is like 17 or 16 maybe. But this is a big opportunity for Aldrich. It would be a hard loss for Jillian. I do think Jillian wins this fight, but it's going to be a tough fight.
Yeah, this one's going to be another close one. I'm going to agree with you on this one. Jillian, I think, is going to take it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think both girls that have been on our show, Miranda and Jillian, are going to win.
The odds makers have that one at? They have Jillian for that one.
Yeah,
also.
they have Jillian about 1.5 to 1, and then they have Miranda 3.5 to 1. So yeah, I think that next we have. Matthew Semmelsberger. I think he's going to handle business. And then we have Oh yeah. Look at the shape though. Wow, man, that body. That didn't I used to have that body? No, only in my dreams.
You think that one's going to be that straightforward?
Yeah. No. Well, that guy's strong, but Semmelsberger is a killer. I think Semmelsberger is gonna take care of that. Trevin Jones against someone else where you're back in the big.
Well, let's
undefeated.
Let's go by. Yeah, he's undefeated. So
but
that's why I'm like,
isn't this his UFC debut though? I think it's the dude's UFC debut.
It is. He was a contender series fighter.
Yeah, there you go. And I think Semmelsberger is going to tell him there's levels to this, and it's going to show him that. Anyway, who is the? Oh, Alex. Look above that though. Look above that.
Oh, yeah.
Last minute replacement. Our guy who we interviewed 3 months ago, Terrence McKinney. He is given 2 weeks notice here, I think. He just came off a big win. It'll be 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And he's got Drew Dober, who we've had on our show twice. This is a scary fight. These guys are going to beat the brakes off each other. Drew Dober is a slight favorite. McKinney is the new dude. Dober is still somewhat young, like 31 years old, 32. But the young, hot guy right now is McKinney. Tough, man. Dober really wants this fight. This would derail the hype train, and I think the hype train's real for T-Rex McKinney. But Dober needs this fight. He's had a couple of hard fights lately, and he's still a really great guy. But he's older and he's got a lot more miles on him. I think
surprised that fight is
fight of the night, maybe.
No, I'm surprised that fight is coming before the next one.
Yeah, well, I agree. I think many more people are going to be excited and anticipation to watch McKinney versus Dober than Roundtree versus Roberson. But if I'm being honest, Roberson and Roundtree have had higher level fights as far as ranks, as far as in the rankings. So I guess it makes sense. I do agree, though, more people are going to be excited, I think, to see Dober versus McKinney, but, Roberson and Roundtree. And they do have Carl Roberson as a slight favorite. And both guys can be kind of hit and miss. Like, you don't know which Khalil and which Baby K Carl Roberson is going to show up. But Baby K is coming off 2 losses to Vittori and Brendan Allen. No shame in those. Roundtree, I think, is also coming off losses, isn't he? No,
he's coming off a win.
He's got a win. Who was against Bukowskis? But Bukowskis lost almost every fight in the UFC, 3 out of 4, and then Khalil had 2 losses before that. So this is
Khalil's were.
that's a tough fight. I don't know who to call that. I don't know who to call.
I'm going with Khalil on this.
I think so too, but it's going to be really close.
I think he's had the tougher opponents by a little bit.
More ranked fighters, I think, than Baby K. Yeah, and then you got Sadiq Youssef, who is very tough. Going up against who is Sadiq going up against?
Alex Caceres.
Oh my gosh! Wow. So there you got a guy who was killing it, and then took a loss. I think Youssef. No, he didn't. No, Youssef, I think, did not take any losses, did he? Let's take a look. I think Youssef is either on a killing streak, or I thought he had 1 loss in there, but I think
he had one loss.
He did.
Yeah.
Arnold Allen is a beast, and that was a close fight. So Sadiq Youssef is going to be in an angry mood. My boy, though, Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres, has been on a streak. His last fight, people did not think he was going to beat. And who was that?
Sungwoo Choi.
Yeah, Choi was like 2-1 favorite. Wow, 5-fight win streak now for the man they call Bruce Leroy. I don't know Sadiq personally. I've interviewed Alex a few times. He's a super cool dude.
I remember him coming out and whooping on Chase there.
Yes,
that was pretty decisive.
Yeah,
one.
it was.
That was like, wow.
I'd love to see Alex Caceres.
I was fanboying over Hooper before that fight.
Yeah, I know. Most people were. I'd love to see Alex win this fight. I just think he's up against it. What are the odds makers have it? Do they have Youssef minus 250 or something? Where is that?
Yep, minus 250 right
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, probably Youssef is too young and too strong and too fast. But Alex Caceres, man, this is his time. That win would literally vault him into the top 10 if he's not already kind of there. Actually, you know what? What weight division is that? Is that 145? Because if it's 145,
it's a featherweight, yeah.
Yeah, so then forget that, because that division's packed. As I always say, that's the most jam-packed competitive division in the UFC. So it wouldn't vault him in the top 10, but maybe top 15 or top 20. Is this fight also on the same card?
It sure is.
So we just
Song
interviewed
Yadong.
the Monkey God, and now we got the Kung Fu Monkey, Song Yadong, or Yadong Song. It's Marlon Moraes. No, that's... Is that on that card? Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting fight, too. They both need that fight. Marlon Moraes was at the top, ranked number 2 or number 1 for a short while. Now he is not, as he's had 3 losses in a row. He really needs this win. He really does. And
he really needs this win, but his 3 losses in a row, quite frankly.
But it's been about 3 killers. Look, Sandhagen, Font, and Marab Dawalish-Willie. What are the odds on this? I kind of feel like Moraes should be slightly favored, but I bet he isn't.
Nah, he isn't. It's.
Oh wow! I think you know what?
2.5, 3.
I mean, Moraes is back against the wall here. I think he's live. I'm not going to say I'm officially putting him in my picks yet. I'm not saying that.
Wow.
You got to look at my Facebook or hit me up directly. But I think Moraes is live in that fight. I really do.
Wow.
Song Yadong, I think, had several fights that he barely won and wasn't even winning, or was losing, or was barely getting an edge, and they give him the victory. So
I do think he is. Song Yadong is one of the more previously overrated fighters.
Right, he is.
Sure.
But still, he's young. He's with a good team over there with Team Alpha Male and Uriah Faber. They got so many great guys. Our friend Josh Emmett is over there, probably training with him. They're in the same division. And then the main, wow, man, look at the odds on that. Ankalaev, they feel, is going to absolutely crush Maheta Thiago Santos. I mean, Ankalaev, Adam, I think out of the Dagestani guys, he's the guy the least. He's the biggest at light heavyweight, because I haven't heard of any of the Dagestanis being heavyweight. Mostly there's a glut of them between featherweight and middleweight, and usually even featherweight to welterweight. But Ankalaev is the biggest high-profile Dagestani I think out there. 6'2" or 3", 205 pounds. I know plenty about him.
Yeah, did you see the photo of him with him and Till?
Yes. He was calling him. No. That was Hamzat and Till.
That was Hamzat and Till, wasn't it? Yeah.
Ankalaev is low key pretty much as far as promotion. He's just got this stoic look on his face. He's a big, lean guy, but he's like so good at striking, and he's so good at wrestling and grappling. He's just a stone cold killer. Now, he does like to strike though. And if he feels like he wants to see what Thiago Santos has and agrees to not take him down for a few minutes, he could get caught. he could get caught. Thiago Santos got a hammer in both fists. However, he's got so much damage to his knees and his legs and his joints, maybe even his hip, maybe even his back. It's just tough to think that at like 38 years old as he is, that he's going to be able to just catch Ankalaev bobbing when he should have weaved or something. It's possible though, and in reality, Ankalaev stepping up against someone so experienced like this at a high level probably should plan on using his wrestling fairly early on. But yeah, Ankalaev, absolutely stone cold killer. Stone cold killer.
Yeah, I have to agree with the odds makers on this.
Paul Craig. Look at that. Paul Craig is the only guy that beat him, and he submitted him. But Paul Craig also was the only guy that beat Jamal Hill by submitting him. Paul Craig has been on a killing streak, so there's no shame there. But I will tell you this: between Jamal Hill, Paul Craig, and Megamed Ankalaev, two of them or all of them are going to see each other again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to guarantee you that. And I do think if Paul Craig thinks now that he's going to submit Ankalaev or Jamal Hill, it's going to be a whole lot harder. Right. A whole lot harder. And you know, nothing against Paul Craig, the Scotsman. He's a killer. But
yep, I agree with that there. Hey, yeah. Colin, let's go over, let's take a couple more minutes. I actually see a question here from Jay Ward asking if this is live. Yes, it is. And we do our best to answer questions. And if we're ever interviewing anybody and you guys want to ask a question, we do go live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. It's 9 p.m. Eastern. That we are here on Hannibal TV or on our own social media as well, in our own group. You can give that a search, just MMA Power Hour. Right. You can find both the group and the social media page. But
exactly, as Bruce Buffer would say, we are live.
Huge fight here that I'm actually really excited for over in Bellator. Also the same night as the
your boy, a fellow Adam. Yep. Adam Borix.
He's not just a fellow Adam. He's a badass.
He is great fighter. And Mads Burnell though is a beast. Look at their records combined. Borix is 17-1. And Burnell is 16-3. So together they're 33-4 in MMA, which is crazy because everyone fights everyone. That's a killer fight. They're both on killer win streaks. That's going to be a really good fight. Also on the undercard, who do you have? Phil, you're going back to the UFC there.
No, I'm not going back to the UFC.
There we go. Now
back to the odds on that.
And then you got Phil Davis against Angelikas. Davis should win that fight. Excuse me, John Salter against Johnny Eblin. It looks like Eblin is a big favorite. And then you got.
Yeah, I mean, really, I was just.
Just the top fighter there.
That top fight was interesting. As much as I love Bellator, unless it comes down to the heavyweights and light heavyweights, I'm not really super interested.
Yeah, or maybe some of the top guys like AJ McKee and the Pitbull brothers, and the champ Nemkov. And Ryan Bader possibly. I
have a question for. First off, we need to try to get Adam on our show.
I don't know how great Adam Borix's English is. Can you click on him real quick? Where is he from? What does that say up there?
Sorokhides, Hungary.
Yeah. You know what? I think it's okay. I think I may have interviewed him. I think I did interview him.
He was
in person. He can speak English fairly well. Yeah, I'll reach out. The one thing is sometimes these guys are willing to do a 5-minute side-by-side interview where they can see you and get an idea more of what you're talking about. Less interested.
Well, I would like to chat with him and have you ask him, if he has his eyes completely on Bellator or if he's interested in the UFC, because he's definitely in the right weight class to keep crushing it here at Bellator.
Right,
eventually
145.
Over.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not only that, but AJ McKee, who won that title about a year ago in that quick knockout of Patricio Pitbull, AJ is going up to fight for the 155 title against Pitbull's brother. And I honestly, just like Conor McGregor at 5'11" or so, I don't see AJ McKee coming back down to 145. He's been there his whole career from 20 years old to now 27 years old or 28. And so in reality, Borix and Burnell here, the winner probably is going to be able to get a title fight without having to go through AJ McKee, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe AJ will come back down, but I don't know. He's awfully thick, and he's right about that age, 27, 28, where he's going to get a little bit thicker. And we may never see him at 45, but yeah, it's a good fight. I'll reach out. We'll see if we can get Borix on there. We'll talk to the Bellator. I mean, we'll see if we can give Bellator some love. And the one thing is, we always want to have people on here that you're interested, but we also do want to make sure that people with a really winning record and experience from all organizations do get some love. We can't frequently have people that just have 3 or 4 pro wins or are not fighting in one of the 4 major organizations, because a lot of you don't know them, and we do want to make this show interesting to you and bring in people who are already on their way to being a champion, if not already ranked. And but Borix would be that guy in Bellator for sure, although they don't put out actual rankings, or I think they're working on it. But he's definitely up there in talks, especially if he beats Mads Burnell. He might as well reach out to Mads as well. Now they're fighting this Friday though, or is it a week from Friday? I think
no, it's Saturday. Same day, March 12th.
They're fighting the same day as UFC?
Yep. March 12th.
Why the hell do they do that once?
I don't know. I don't know why people try to compete with Dana on any given day. It doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't. I mean, the only thing I can think of is once in a while the card is an early start if it's a fight night. UFC has been doing that lately. I think you guys may have noticed that it used to be if it was a pay-per-view, then it was somewhere between 3 and 4 that the prelim started, and the pay-per-view card always starts at 7. And then if it was a fight night, it used to be a little bit earlier, somewhere between 2 and 3. The prelims and the main card would start at 6. But lately, if it's a fight night, I've seen the prelims start as early as 11 a.m. and I'm talking Pacific time. Sorry if you're wondering what the hell I'm saying if you're on the East Coast or Central. But lately I've been seeing the fight nights for the UFC start a lot early, and the main event actually being over not at like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, but being over at like 7 or 6. And then that way Bellator can start their prelims at like 4:35, and by the time their main card starts, UFC is already done for the night. I wonder if there's any communication between Scott Coker and Dana on that, so that they can
probably
kind of
is
happen.
A little bit.
There probably should be. It makes sense, because then we can watch both. You can have a great night.
Dana doesn't care, but
right, for Scott Coker, he's probably happy to not have people distracted by watching UFC when they could watch the Bellator main card.
Well, I'm almost wondering if Bellator is thinking that the Eagle FC is going to pull more eyes than UFC. I mean, I can see that
maybe
it's starting
more than
to be
them,
pretty popular.
Because that's Habib's organization. Yep. Let's take a look at that real quick. Give that about a minute of love. The main event is very odd. Kevin Lee, who got cut from the UFC, but many people felt he shouldn't have, because he is a legit guy. It just seems like lately he's not been able to get by the top 10 guys or top 5. Double tough guy, though.
Do you really think anybody thought he shouldn't be with all the stuff that was going on?
With all the stuff going on with Kevin Lee?
No. Oh, Kevin Lee.
I'm talking Kevin Lee. Diego Sanchez, sadly enough, the highest he's been ranked in the last 8 years is like number 30. Right. So Diego Sanchez, there was no doubt, with all the bizarre stuff going on and the fact that he's lost 6 out of his last 9 fights, there's no doubt why he was cut. Right. But this is a weird fight. Kevin Lee could still be in the UFC. Look at those odds. There's absolutely no way, unless Kevin Lee twists his ankle or something. Well, scratch that. If Kevin Lee decides to try some weird shit or whatever and go in berserker mode, maybe he can get caught, knocked back a little bit by Diego. And then if Kevin Lee ends up on the bottom as a wrestler, and with Diego Sanchez as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, probably for the last 10 years or 15 years, could Diego submit him? Yeah. But that's going to be a big ass.
That's a huge ass.
Yeah, Kevin's a better wrestler.
I mean, this is a first-round finish.
Probably so. But I just don't want Diego Sanchez to get hurt badly, because he's a warrior and he's just been in some wars. But hopefully that I'm sure they have great referees and everything. But you know what does impress me, Adam? A lot of guys that have money, like Habib, and now Habib probably has more money than most guys. Habib maybe doesn't have Conor McGregor money, but I think he's got at least $30 or $40 million from what I've heard. Some guys that have a lot of money say, I'm going to start this organization. I'm going to, like he did it. Like he talked about it for less than a year, and then he did it.
Right.
So Khabib is that kind of a guy. I mean, literally, I think a lot of people have advisors that advise them, don't do it yet, don't do it yet, don't do it yet, don't do it. And pretty soon, months and months have gone by, and years, and sometimes it's the right decision. In reality, so many organizations so many entities have created MMA fighting organizations and have bled money and
I
then
guarantee you, Dana got in there and helped out with this one and helped push it along, and
Perhaps.
is a stakeholder. I guarantee you.
You could be right. You could be right, because it was
no
sure
doubt.
quick. Between the time Khabib retired and the time this league started, I don't think it was quite 12 months, or if it was, barely over that. So kudos to Khabib for wanting to do something and just doing it. And I think that's consistent with his fighting skills and his heart. His idea is, I make an objective, I make a goal to do something, I get on it, I do all the legwork, I put the pieces together, I get the paper signed, and I do it.
Right.
And for some reason, 99% of the rest of us find that hard to do.
I mean, execute, right?
Yeah.
That's a reality that a lot of people go with in the fighter world, is you just do, or you put up or you shut up, right?
Right.
And Khabib, of all the people out there, is one of the biggest on that. So
right, and having the money helps. If you really don't have the money, it makes it a lot tougher, because in reality, Khabib could genuinely lose and bleed out $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, $10 million, hopefully not, and then end up having to dump this idea. But if you have 30, 40, $50 million, you don't want to bleed out a third of your net worth, but if you do, you're still set for the rest of your life.
right.
So
That's it.
He's willing to take the risk. And
All
I
right,
think
Colin. Well, it's been another amazing episode. I want to thank you for this one. Unfortunately tonight, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and trees, and whatever you want to be called.
Ladies and germs.
Ladies and germs. We intended on having some more guests, but not every week are we able to bring on a whole bunch of guests. We have had 6-hour episodes before with numerous,
we did back in the early
guests.
days. Yep.
But we're trying to keep it short and sweet for you guys. Colin, another amazing episode. Everybody, hit up our social media. Hit up lithtoken.io. Check out the cryptocurrency, everything that it's about over there. We are going to be doing physical NFTs, actually, with patent pending right now. So we are going to be all the rave and all the hype here in the next year. So definitely keep updated with everything going on over there. Join the Telegram. And Colin.
Liddy Kitty, right?
Yeah, you got Liddy Kitty right behind you. I'm going to go ahead and tap out for the night, everybody. Have a good one.
Awesome. Great work. As always, this show is lit because of Dr. Adam Roorda in more ways than one in that term. In that terminology. Thank you so much to our guest, Mr. Jared Monkey God Brooks. Killer fighter, great guy out of Indiana, training out of Michigan, having trained with so many great people and places, and he's getting some great work now. And is maybe 1 to 2 fights away from the flyweight title at one championship. For some reason, I didn't know why. I didn't think they had 125 weight limit. But anyway, thank you so much, Jared Brooks. Appreciate you. Everyone else jumping in, Dr. Adam Roorda for the entire team. Spread the love in a positive way. Be that guy, be that girl. Make sure your pets are safe and warm. It's a cold winter. Make sure they have fresh water and clean water to drink. Take your dog for a walk whenever he or she needs it, and make sure your cat's cat box is clean. The love you get back is unconditional, and it's so important. They deserve all the love and care in the world. That's about it. Colin Crandall here for the MMA Power Hour, and for tonight, I am tapping out. See you next week.